Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday, the 29th of November, 2023. Sorry about the slightly late start there. I had to reset my computer because there's nothing like, just before you're about to leave to head off to Ukraine, literally after this broadcast finishes, getting all your bag packed and everything, and then just your software not working on your computer, or maybe your hardware. I don't know, but I needed to reset. Anyway, welcome. Today we're going to talk a little bit about why Labour should not be following the Tories on immigration. Because, in the words of the immortal Admiral Akbar, it's a trap! Wobbly finger. Okay, so why is it? Well, because this is part of an agenda by the right wing to bring the Overton window, which is the window of reasonable debate, if you like, the outlook that people share in this country or around this continent, around the world. At the moment, it's been dragged so far to the right, it's ridiculous. And when left-wing parties like Labour start adopting Tory talking points, that way, not just madness leads, but also they could very well find themselves in a situation like what's happened in Netherlands. Now, let me just stress that at the moment, I think that it looks very likely that the Tories are going to get absolutely demolished in the next election. Unforced errors on their behalf of, them killing hundreds of thousands of people through austerity, then through their horrific response to COVID, as we're discovering even more and more through the COVID inquiry. We need a Brexit inquiry. Like the COVID inquiry, where we sit these people down and we ask them questions about who they took money off and why they did the things they did and why they lied and why they cheated and why they scammed this country out of its future. But we're talking today about Labour and why Labour should not be... Yvette Cooper, the Labour shadow Home Secretary, should not be standing up in Parliament and parroting lines from the Tories about bringing down immigration. There's a few reasons for this. The main one being we need immigration. We desperately need it. And we shouldn't be making immigration a dirty word. We should be celebrating it. Like I said on the show the other day, if immigration was a bad thing, then North Korea would be the richest country in the world and America would be the poorest. Obviously not the case, and countries like Japan have really suffered because they have not embraced immigrants to come into their country and work. A lot of people who go to Japan complain about the racism there, and it's understandable that not that many people want to go and live in a country where they don't feel welcome. As a result, the Japanese economy has stagnated since the 90s. Our economy has stagnated for 16 years now. It has not grown in real terms. In fact, in real terms, because our population has grown by 6 million in the same period, we are all demonstrably poorer, except for the absolute mega wealthy elite. It really is them, and I was going to say them and us, but it's not. It's them or us. There are options going forward. But we have an aging population, we have a declining birth rate, we need people who are of working age to come here and work one way or another. So we should be celebrating that fact and pushing it like it's a good thing. Yvette Cooper this week stood up in Parliament and made it sound like immigration was a bad thing and we need to bring it down. Of course, Labour's going to bring it down. No. You don't need to bring it down. It's fine. Change the script. Change the script to explain to people why immigration is a good thing, because there aren't that many British people who want to look after the elderly boomers in their, autumn years of their life when they might not be able to care for themselves. And they've got an option. They can either have no immigrants and no healthcare and no social care, or they can have immigrants and have them both. That's it. When people talk about immigration putting a strain on the NHS, it is such a lie. It is a disgraceful lie. It is a disgusting lie. Why? Well, because actually the NHS is propped up by people from other countries. If it wasn't for those people from the other countries coming over here and working in the NHS would have collapsed many, many years ago. We don't have enough workforce of our own. We don't have enough natural resources of our own. We don't really have the productivity that we should have for an economy of our size. We are punching below our weight on a lot of things now when it comes to economics and just, resources to go round. We should be punching above our weight, which we used to do, but then we stopped. after the credit crunch. Things were getting better. Things were getting, getting back on track, so to speak. And then what happened? The Tories got in and brought in austerity. The worst possible thing they could do at the worst possible time. It's a typical Tory trick, that. And what they did was they brought in austerity, which meant that there was a lot less money sloshing around the system, which is how the economy grows. They need money sloshing around the system because that's how it works. They don't seem to understand how money is created in that respect. People need to be buying things. People need to be selling things. That needs to go round and round. So, but let's just talk about Europe for a moment before I get into the chat. Actually, no, I'll just mention the chat now because we've got lots of lovely people here. We've got loads of messages from Jup and Duke and Paul and Alec and Dave W and Reagan Elite and Uncle Heavy. And it's warmer in southern Ukraine than the UK today. That's from Uncle Heavy. That's good. And double-edged sword, though, Graham. When the brightest and best are being brought to replace the lefties, the Tories slowly kill off with austerity. I mean, look, it's in everyone's interest for us to have more immigration coming into this country. It's as simple as that. And we've always been internationalist. Like this idea of the little England where you have a village and everyone in the village is white, it's bullshit. Don't forget, Shakespeare, 400 years ago, was writing stories about mixed marriages, like Othello. I know it ends in tragedy, spoilers, but it's about a mixed marriage, or what we call a mixed marriage. And the fact that we still call it a mixed marriage is kind of ridiculous, but there it is. And Iago, the guy in that, is a jealous, racist son of a bitch. There you go. I mean, that was 400 years ago. Oh my God, that must have blown the minds of people in the Deep South who objected to that episode of Star Trek in which Captain Kirk kissed Uhura. Oh my God, you can't have that. They actually banned that episode or censored it in certain Southern American states, if you can believe that, which you probably can. But yeah, let's just talk about Europe for a moment, because in the last few years we have seen far-right parties. This isn't just the Tories, being right-wing and being nut jobs or whatever. This isn't even like UKIP. This is the BNP. This is beyond that, This is Britain First. This is the Tommy Ten Names gang of gobshites. They have seen political wins in Italy, Hungary, Finland, Sweden, Greece, Austria, Germany, Slovakia, Spain, and Poland. This is a huge threat to our way of life. And next year is going to be the biggest year in history in terms of democracy, in terms of people voting. There's going to be, I think, elections in India. There's going to be elections in Russia. Not that that's going to make any difference. There's going to be elections across the EU. There's going to be an election in the UK. And there's going to be an election in America for the presidency. And this really is the time we're getting to the point where it is sink or swim. Like, this is going to be the elections that dictate the future of humanity or not. Like, dictate the fact that humanity has no future, because if the world heats up by 3 degrees, which is, an insane amount of heat, and I hate the way it doesn't sound like that much, just 3 degrees. How can that really, cook your eyeballs? But the reality is that is the equivalent of extra heat in the earth, of an atomic bomb going off every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every year since the Magna Carta was signed. That's how much energy is now trapped in the earth by the CO2 that we have in the atmosphere. And it's not just enough that we get rid of the CO2 that we, stop pumping out CO2, sorry. We've got to get rid of the CO2 that's out there at the moment, because it's like a bath. The bath is filling up. We're filling it up a little less, well, they say we're filling up less fast, but that's not the reality. We are just filling it up as fast as ever, if not faster. And those slimy greaseball bastards going to this COP28 summit in the United Arab Emirates, a fascist oil state. That's where they're holding this, and they're using it to hold talks between oil companies. I mean, there's going to be scientists there who are like, concerned about the future of humanity, but there's going to be a lot of grubby little businessmen who want to make a lot of money out of the end of the planet, out of the end of the world. So we have to make sure that not only do these right-wing parties not get any kind of foothold in Europe. We saw Geert Wilders in Holland win the most number of votes in the recent election. Doesn't mean he can form a government, thankfully, but he might. We don't know. The wrangling will go on. I think the last time it went on for like 299 days or something. So let the wrangling commence. But the point is that we need to fight this right-wing rhetoric, because the Nazis didn't turn up overnight, with the jackboots on and burning books and smashing up people's windows because they were Jewish. They didn't start with the concentration camps. They started just like Nigel Farage. They started saying, we're the victims, we were stabbed in the back. Does that sound familiar? Stabbed in the back by these other foreign powers and these immigrants coming over and these socialist vermin, which is rhetoric that Trump actually used a couple of weeks ago. This is what is being said in parliaments, in congresses around the world now. And it's exactly what the Nazis did. Because, like I say, they didn't arrive overnight. It was a long process, but they never saw themselves as the villains in the story. They always saw themselves as the heroes, upholding great German values and to create a Reich that would last 1,000 years and would make other countries tremble before it. We want to be world-beating. Does that sound familiar? World-beating. That's what we want to be. Yay, this is all about making things better for the working-class German. And a lot of people responded to it positively, not just in Germany, but around the world. In this country, we had the British Union of Fascists. We had the Daily Mail, putting out articles saying, hurrah for the Nazis, effectively. Hurrah for the fascists. Yeah, Daily Mail. But yeah, so I think that it is incredibly dangerous, and can I say just like very stupid of Labour, foolhardy to follow the Tories' rhetoric on anything, and especially when it comes to immigration. What Yvette Cooper needs to be doing is standing up in Parliament and using her time, because it's not like she's having to debate against Suella Braverman. She never turned up in Parliament. Now James Cleverly is pulling the same trick. I think they're scared of Yvette Cooper, and she should use that fact as a weapon against the Tories and show how their rhetoric is flawed and wrong. And I know it's more difficult to make the argument that immigration is good. It's good for the economy. It's good for society. It's good for our fucking cuisine. It's good for our cuisine. This isn't something where we have any choice in the matter. We need immigration in this country. So you can either whinge about it and allow the right wing to capitalize on that, like what happened in the Netherlands. The Centrist Party started aping the rhetoric of the far right, and it did them no favors whatsoever. It only helped the far right. And that's the point I wanted to make. Cleverly is scared of Yvette Cooper. Defo, indeed. What is it the likes of Farage will ultimately gain, says Ruth? Money. It just comes down to money. Money and power. That's what they want. They want the ability and fame. They're just vain little public school boys who, monsters fighting in the playground. They don't care who gets crushed underfoot. If they can define and control your species being, then you can't. I don't know what that means, Wes. Michael says, our language is multicultural and has enriched it immeasurably. Yeah. I mean, so many of our words are not English. They've come from other countries and we've just stolen them wholesale. Sometimes we anglicize them. And a lot of the time we don't. We just steal the word. Pajamas, joppers. I'm trying to think of some. Anything to do with food is usually French, isn't it? Although it does drive me up the wall when people say calf instead of cafe. It's got an accent on the email. It's a cafe. The Tories don't care that they're wrong. They just want to get what they want. Indeed, the first Indian restaurant was in Brighton, run by Mr. Mohammed on East Street. Well, there you go. Well, yeah. Mm. I don't know. If you read Empire Land, the book, it's got a bit in about the first Indian restaurant, which I think was around the Victorian era or something. There was a guy who, quite an interesting character. There you go, pajamas bungalow, kangaroo. Come up with some words that come from other places. Simon says calcium hydroxide and carbon dioxide. Oh god, he just got pushed up by another message. Gives calcium carbonate. Oh, that's interesting to know. Fascism is a viper at the breast of democracy. Thank you very much, Johnny Copperhead, for the super chat and the excellent point. Okay, so right, I'm going to devote the last 7 minutes of the show. I'm going to finish early today because I have to leave the house at 10 o'clock. I literally got my backpack. Should I go and get my backpack? I've got my passport. I've got my international driver's permit there. If you can see that, that's my international driving permit, and it is like, honestly, it's like something from the bloody war. If I just cover my address on there. It's got my photo. It's put in with a bit of Pritt stick. Yeah, good old Brexit. Taking us back many, many years. I've got my backpack. My spunky backpack. There you go. The backpack that I took around the world for 4 years was the same size as this. That's the size of the backpack that I normally take with me. It's got all my kit in it. It's got my laptop in and stuff, so I can do some shows from the road. I'll be doing some stuff. Oh, thank you very much, Rick, for the £10 super chat. Good luck on your trip today. I look forward to following your progress. Oh, thanks very much. And thanks for the super chat. It is much, much appreciated. And I can't wear that hat because it's going to be too cold. My ears will get cold. So I'm thinking of wearing this one on the way. As we go to deliver over £4,000 worth of Lego. Not weight, pounds. That's how much we spent. That's how much we raised to spend on Lego. £4,000. We have got a van full of this Lego, and we've got some other humanitarian supplies in there as well, like towels and fleece jackets and things that people might need in the winter. We've also got we've got some Playmobil in there. We've got some Play-Doh. We've got colouring books and pencils and things like that. Loads of presents. So hopefully over 500 children will get presents this year in Kharkiv from our van that we're going to be. I'm going to just so you know what my plan is. I'm flying to Luxembourg this afternoon from Newcastle. And then I'm getting picked up by Adam, who's the guy who we're going travelling with, him and his mate Frank, who's a German guy. He's sourced the van and he's managed to get all of the toys and everything together. He's been an absolute legend, Adam. He's ex-military, so obviously runs things at military position. It's quite nice to have someone, who's not entirely flaky on side to actually do stuff. And it's nice to remember phone buzzers. I don't think, oh God, what am I going to have to fix now? It's actually, oh my God, they've done everything and sent me pictures of it. That's so cool, which is very exciting. So we'll be heading through Germany. We've had to postpone it for a few days because of the weather over there, but it's settled down a bit now. So we'll be traveling along the Autobahn through Poland tomorrow all day. We're going to be on the road all day, so I might be doing some special brews from the road on my phone. I'll see how far my giff-gaff phone signal works for. I might be able to make a hotspot with Adam's phone because he lives in Germany. And then we'll be traveling to the border and hopefully crossing the border on the Thursday morning. It might take a long time. There is not just the snow, there's not just the war, but there's also truckers have done not a strike. What's it called? Like they've blocked the way at Medica, where I've been before, to the border. That border crossing is no go. There's a 91-hour wait at that border. But fortunately, there's other borders that we can use between Poland and Ukraine. So we'll just use another one. Preferably one that the blockade, that's the word, blockade. The truckers have done a blockade, and they have done since about October the 5th. So it's been about 3 weeks now, 4 weeks. Travel safely. We wait for your posts from the road. Oh, thank you very much, Bart. Captain Bart Roberts there. With a super chat, thank you. Safe journey. Your Lego dealer, yes. Lego smuggler, international Lego smuggler. Well, we're going to do all the paperwork as well. So this is something that people, you've got to think about the logistics. It's not just getting there. It's also like getting into what is effectively a country that's at war at the moment. Getting over the border, making sure that all of our paperwork is in order. Papers. But if there's anyone who knows, I'm going to jinx it now, aren't I? If there's anyone who knows how to wangle their way into a country, It's probably me. So yes, send us a postcard to Uncle Heavy. I'll do better than that. I'm going to be doing shows from the road. So tomorrow morning, Phil is going to be doing Morning Brew, obviously. On Wednesday, on Friday morning, hopefully we'll be in Lviv at 10:30. No, it might be 11:30. Yeah, 11:30. And if I am in Lviv at that time, I'm going to make sure that I've got a Ukrainian SIM card, and I will do a special brew, a special edition of this show from Lviv in Ukraine, which is all going to be about, obviously, the situation in Ukraine at the moment. So once we get to Lviv, we're meeting up with Rob Peacock, who has been working in Ukraine as a volunteer since March 2022, and he works with a charity that is based in Kharkiv that works with children, works with children's centres, and also children who have lost parents or been displaced by the war. Don't forget, a lot of people who have been internally displaced in Ukraine, who have come across from the Donbass region, the region in the east, have come to places like the Kharkiv Oblast, and so they might be in temporary accommodation, they might be staying with relatives or whatever. Whatever the situation is, these kids aren't getting a normal Christmas, not by any stretch of the imagination. And also, thank you very much to One Angry Pagan for that super chat. Labour need to flip the conversation on employment for Brits too, if you want to make changes to immigration convo amongst voters. I'm afraid, yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't disagree, and thank you for the super chat. But yeah, I was just saying about the situation in Ukraine with the kids. You know, that they haven't had a normal Christmas. They didn't have one last year. They're not going to have one next year, even if the war ends. There's so much rebuilding to do and so much heart upheaval, and the cruelty of the invasion of Ukraine, the cruelty that it's wrought on just the normal people of Ukraine who just don't deserve this in any way, shape, or form. And for one country to invade another because it wants to get rid of Nazis when that country, Russia, is run by a Nazi, is quite rich, so to speak. Anyway, so that's the plan. So hopefully on Friday we'll be able to do some live shows from the road. But look out. What I'd really like you to do is, if you subscribe to the channel, if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell notification icon, because you're only going to get about 2 minutes warning, if that, before we go live from Ukraine. So I'll be trying to set that up. So it all works. The last Lego I bought was an AT-AT Walker when I was in my 40s. Hee. All-terrain armoured transport. That stands for nerd. Not to be confused with an all-terrain scout transport. They're the ones with the 2 legs who are in the forest in Endor. But you do see a couple of them in the background on Hoth. Anyway, talking of Hoth, let's head off into the snowy climes of Germany, Russia, and Ukraine. That's where I'm off now. So thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you for the super chats. If you want to support the journey, obviously we'd like to make another one and make it bigger and better next year. And we might do we're thinking of doing an Easter run with Easter presents and Easter eggs and things for the kids. Head over to UK4UKR.com. Also, you will be able to see our blog on there. So there'll be a blog each day that I'll be putting up there. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.